Hi, this is Terry Healy bringing you some extraordinary transformation. Thanks for tuning in. You're listening to WVLP at 103.1 FM, also live streaming at WVLP.org. Today's show is brought to you by Ryan Everhart with Diamond Residential Mortgage. I say it every show and I'll never stop saying it. Ryan is exceptional. If you're looking for someone who has true compassion and concern for you and your family and your wallet, contact Ryan. His office is conveniently located. He's right at 350 Northland Drive in Valparaiso. His direct phone line is area code 219-707-8429. Ryan, as always, thank you so much for supporting my show and supporting community radio. Today I have a guest. I've never met this gal before, but always interesting to meet somebody like-minded and like-spirited. I had the opportunity to interview Lisa Pierzakowski, and she is the Laporte County Center Township Trustee. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Good. I love that's a big
it
job title. Yeah, I'm like, don't want to mess that up. And she's taken on an incredible conversation here in her community as far as serving the homeless population that's around. I'm just gonna go ahead and let you get started. Like, can we maybe just have some background to it? Like,
sure. So, as you said, I'm Lisa Pierzakowski, Center Township Trustee. I'm in my 6th year in my office, and I truly love my job, as most people know, or I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing here in this great church that we're in right now for our shelter. But when I took office 6 years ago, I wanted to make a difference in our community. I born and raised here in Laporte, married to my husband Mike for 31 years, and I have 3 children. Actually, I have 4. Sorry. I have a 30-year-old son, I have a 26-year-old daughter, and then I have an 18-year-old son, and I have an 18-year-old Guatemala exchange student for the last 2.5 years.
That's a long time.
Yes, and it's great, and they're both getting ready for college right now, so it's been very exciting.
Yeah.
So, but my job before, I was a school bus driver, and I saw kids coming home on the weekends with their little backpacks of food, and they would be saying, "Miss Lisa, if you had to hide food, where would you hide it?" And I was like, where would I hide food? And it broke my heart. And when they explained that when they took their food home on the weekends, that their parents would eat it. And I'm like, that food's for you. So, we used to kind of make a game of it on the school bus, where should we hide the food this week? And we got the older kids involved in it and stuff, and came up with some really good ideas. But then, so when I took office, I, wanted to make that difference. And one of the very first things I did is I opened up a food pantry resource center right directly next to my office, and it's now a food pantry. And with the resource center, they can come in and use the computers. They can come in and get clothing, kind of like what we have here at the shelter. We have computers set up where they can come in and do job searches or resumes, or check their Facebook or check their emails. We have a lot of people that don't have internet at home. We've even had some parents come in with their kids to do homework sometimes and print stuff off if people need to fax something or anything like that. It's all free of charge, and it's for their for the community. And I get teased about how it's a one-stop shop, because not only a resource center food pantry, but we also have a very large storage room in the back, and we collect things. We if people have a going away, moving sale, or they're retiring and moving, downgrading and stuff like that, we'll take household products like pots and pans and silverware and cups and plates, and we take towels and wash rags and all that stuff. So what we do is we make a home start basket. So when we move one of our homeless people into their first apartment, they have everything they possibly need to start up their apartment. So they get a laundry basket, and it's got, the pots and the pans and the silverware and the bowls and the cups. We have 4 of everything. So, it's usually just one person, but 4 of everything in case you have a guest. Or you don't want to wash your dishes right away. You want to wash your dishes the next morning. Shame on you, but, something like that. So they get cleaning supplies, paper towels, toilet paper, everything they would need to get started in their apartment, because usually that's probably the most expensive thing when you move into an apartment.
And you don't think of it.
No, and you don't. Yeah. So the look on their face when they see what we're doing is just amazing. And I feel like if you can give them a hand up instead of a hand out, I think it means more to them.
I agree.
And I will tell you, a lot of my clients come back now, and especially now with what's going on in the shelter and everything else I've been doing in my pantry or in my office, they come back and it's like, you know what, you did so much to help me. I want to help this next person, you know, whether it be a bus pass, whether it be, will you go to Walmart and buy shoes, or will you pay somebody's NIPSCO bill or something like that. And that really means a lot to me that we made such a huge impact on them. And I have a great team in my office. I have 2 girls in my office, and I have 2 girls in my resource center food pantry. And I'm telling you, our team just rocks it. I mean, we are just there to help anybody that walks in the door. We do EAP applications with them. We do food stamp applications. We do insurance with them. My deputy was a executive secretary before, and she'll help with some like divorce papers or, you know, stuff like that. Like I said, we'll fax things to the food stamp office. With the EAP applications, we take everything here and then we send everything to the EAP, so they don't have to drive to Michigan City. Just like the food stamps, you don't have to drive to Michigan City. So that's why they named it the one-stop shop, because you can do everything in Miss Lisa's office. That's what they always say. But another thing I started within my second year was I started a Crock-Pot Friday class, and that's probably my most exciting, because I teach a class on how to cook a meal for $5 and under.
Oh my goodness.
So what happens is they come in, and for 6 weeks you come in, and we give you all the food that you need to put into your crock pot to make that meal. You take it home, plug it in, and you got your meal for the week. Plus you got some left over for the weekend. And that was to help out in case mom wasn't going to be there, that the kids would have something to eat. So that was my way of thinking. Another reason why is I budget with a lot of people. A lot of people have lost their apartment. Why have they lost their apartment? Because they weren't budgeting. They weren't taking care of their bills first. So I work with a lot of people in budget and stuff like that. So the one thing I take a highlighter on their bank statement. It's like, you spent $15 at McDonald's. Do you realize that's 3 meals that we could have done, you know, with a crock pot or something like that? So it's been a great class. I've had several agencies come and say, can I steal your class? Can I steal your class? I'm like, it's nothing to steal. Just take it, you know. And I have people like, I need some more crock pot recipes. Can I, you know? So we always have the recipes sitting out, and people can do it. This last fall, I finally got into the school system with the crock pot program, and that was probably the most exciting, because that's where I want to be. I want to be in the schools teaching those young moms how they can make a meal instead of going to McDonald's and Wendy's and Burger King and all those places. You can make a really good meal and still make it for $5 or less. Sometimes it's a little bit more, but 95% of the time it's still under $8, $9. So that's,
well, and it's better food than eating the stuff that
and that's what I said. And I have to laugh how they're like, well, I'm just getting home from work and I don't feel like cooking, or I'm running this one to this sport and this sport. And I said, I'm a mom. I had to do that too. Yeah. I said, we had peanut butter and jelly, and we had bags of chips, or we had granola bars, or we had something like that. I can't afford to stop at McDonald's after every time my daughter went to volleyball or my son went to something. You couldn't do it. I don't know how they think they can do it now when it's even more expensive. So I just kind of teach, you know, some of those different life skills. They don't teach life skills in school anymore.
No, they do not.
No, so it's like teaching them life skills all over.
Well, and it's interesting that you say, like, when you're helping them with the budgeting and you see those kind of charges. I had read something somewhere that said that even though that's probably not the best choice that they could make with the limited resources that they have, that when they're able to do things like that, they feel more normal.
Yeah.
And I think it's more of that drive than, and on top of maybe that they don't know how to make a crock pot meal, or they don't understand how far they could stretch that crock. I mean, and I know you can stretch a crock pot up for a while.
Well, and a lot of them, it was just, they didn't really think about that. You know, like, wow, how easy is it to throw this into the crock pot in the morning and come home and it's already made.
It's there.
So it doesn't matter what time you come home, it's there and it's cooked. And you know, it's funny when I take that highlighter and I start highlighting, and they're just like, oh. And then I take the calculator and I add it all up, and I'm like, okay, so this is what you spent in the last 30 days. And they're like, what?
Yes.
And I said, because you use that debit card and you just use it and you just use it. I said, now it's worse to get the cash, but I said, when you're using the debit card, it's the same thing as having cash. So I said, take a notebook, write down every penny you spend for the next 30 days, every penny. Come back and see me. They're embarrassed to come back, because I told them, I said, don't change anything right now. Just keep doing what you're doing. I said, and when you come back, we'll fix it. And they come back and they're just like amazed on what they spent it on. They're like, now I know where all my money's gone.
Yes,
And I'm not perfect. I've done the same
no,
thing.
and I was going to say, I
Yeah.
don't know much
Yeah.
spending for a month.
You should think, right, doesn't, yeah.
Golden.
Yeah, that Starbucks coffee or
You're
something
at
like
Amazon.
that. Yeah, there you go. My son right now with Amazon. Horrible,
Oh,
horrible.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's just, it's just life skills and stuff.
Yeah.
And this homeless shelter here was something that I've wanted to do in the last 5 years. I tried to get many churches together. I was active with the homeless shelter in Michigan City, and I couldn't get the churches together. And I knew I couldn't do it on my own. I'm one person, and with 4 girls, in the office, it's like, please don't put another project on us, Lisa. We have enough right now. Please don't add to it. And I'm like, no, I won't. So Pastor Joe from Liberty Bible came to town about a year ago and came and introduced himself. And I'm like, I really like this pastor. I mean, he's a really go-getter. He came and introduced himself. He's like, I've heard about you. I want to start doing some programs with you. I want to start doing community events and stuff like that. So we started working together, and it was funny because I had just talked about how many homeless people I have in my office every week. And he goes, you know what? He goes, some of my people just went to the shelter in Michigan City to check it out. And they came back, and here again, they're talking to me. And he's like, I said no 6 months ago. He says, but let's relook at it. Let's sit down and talk about it. So that was November of last year.
Yeah.
Okay. So in November, we started this process for this shelter for this year.
Okay.
And we got a group of churches together. So with Joe from Liberty Bible, and then Peggy and Mark from Liberty Bible, and Jackie from Liberty Bible, and then Pastor Roger, which is my pastor from First Church of God. And then we've got a couple other churches. Agape Church came on board, and it just started clicking. We're going to get the shelter started, and we're going to start it January 3rd. So when they first started talking about it, it's like, okay, so we're going to do like 3 nights a week. And I looked at them and go,
3 nights a week? Yeah,
I'm like,
no way.
Okay, so what 3 nights are you going to pick? And they're like, well, what do you mean? I said, well, if you're going to do 3 nights a week, what 3 nights are you going to pick? And I looked at them, I said, so you tell me what 3 nights, and I said, I'll take care of the other 4. And they looked at me and they go, and I said, you don't understand. Last year when it was that cold January, I said, who was the only place in Laporte that was open for 3 of those nights? Who slept at her office for 3 nights with 8 people in her shelter? That was me. So do you think I'm not going to take care of these people too? I said, I will figure it out. So to make a long story short, we went from the 3 nights to we have been open every single night since January 3rd.
Wow.
There's not a night. And I will tell you, we have had the most tremendous support of this community. Everybody in this community we get Facebook messages all the time. Our Facebook page is LP Pads.
Okay.
And people are just like, what do you need? What can we do? How do we volunteer? And it's just like, it's craziness. The girls are like, do you realize how many phone calls we get a day? What do you need? What can we do? How do we volunteer? And it has now worked out to where First Church of God does a night, Liberty Bible does a night, Agape does a night. So that leaves 4 other nights open. But we just have so many community members that are just going from, like my church, we don't do more than 1 night full staff with our church, but our people fill in at other places. We've got a really good intake team, and a lot of them work the shelter 2 or 3 nights a week. We've got Mark and Peggy. Peggy does all of our janitorial stuff here, so she cleans every day. I usually open the shelter at night and close the shelter in the morning. And it's kind of gotten the joke with the clients here. We get to see Mom kiss us goodnight, and we get to see Mom kiss us good morning. So I'm like, I don't kiss you guys, but I am here.
Yeah. Your heart does.
So yeah,
Yeah,
it's kind of funny though, because it's like, Mom's here, and it's like, okay guys, some of you are older than me, but okay, I'll be Mom. So, but yeah, without the community support, we wouldn't be able to do it. But we're in this church right now. It's not the best location.
Yeah.
When we first looked at the church, it was so exciting because it was so big, and but then we started walking around. It's like, okay, it doesn't have this, it doesn't have this, it doesn't have this, and then we had issues with the city came down on us, and it's like, well, you need a sprinkler system, you need a variance for this, you need a variance for that. So I've been working on that with the state, and I haven't heard anything back yet. So no news is good news. We only have about another month and a half to go. But we are now looking for a new location.
Okay.
And the location we would like to have would be a building where we have women on one side, men on the other, a full kitchen area, a full like day room type area. We want showers for the women, showers for the men. We'd like to have washers and dryers. My dream is to have all of that on one floor and then have the upstairs be what would be classified as transitional housing.
Okay.
So like right now, we've had over 30 clients come in through the shelter. Last night we had 10 here, which has been the most we've had. Usually we run about 3 or 4, but with the weather change, and then words kind of get out in the street that you come into the shelter, you're going to get the help you need.
Yeah.
So as people are coming in, we're getting them into rehab, we're getting them to work, we're getting them. Some of them come in out of the county jail here. So some of them may have been homeless for the last couple months, and it's like they're really not from here. Right. Why are they still here? Well, they can't get back to where they need to go. They have nothing here. They have no ID. They have no social security card. They're not from here. So I'll give them a bus pass to go back where they need to come from. We have a guy that we sent to Ohio, back to Ohio. We had a guy that we sent to, I think it was South Carolina. We've had a couple where I've had to have the tough love conversation with mom and dad and child. Like, I know they're over the age of 20, but they really still need your help. And yes, they've not been working, and yes, they're not following rules, but look, they now have a job and they're willing to do this, and here's their contract that they're going to sign with you, and get them back that way. We have some that they've worked enough now to where they've gotten into an apartment. We have housing opportunities that works with us.
Nice.
So we get some, have been housed through housing opportunities. I think we have 2 gentlemen this week that will be put into their apartments through housing opportunities. We have one young lady here that has been ill, has just not a healthy environment, and she's doing extremely well now, but she has ruined her life with her health. And so now it's a matter of getting her to all the right doctors and getting the disability started. So that's not a simple process,
no,
but we're gonna hit it head on. We're, like I said, I think she's seeing her last doctor next Friday. So then we'll go to the Social Security office and we'll get that started. And that's another thing that I will work with my clients. I mean, if I see that there's really truly a disability and we have tried every avenue to get them a job, and there's just not something for them, or they're just mentally and physically not able to do it, I'll help them with their disability.
Wow, that's huge.
We've had probably 4 that we've gotten their disability within 6 months or less, and that's just a matter of making sure they get to the right doctor, they get the right paperwork, the letter from my office stating, they've been in our office this many times, this is how much money we've spent, this is where they've applied at and not gotten the job. So, if we can document everything, usually we can help them get there.
Do you realize how huge that is? Like, most people have to hire an attorney because they're not able to get through that process on their own.
I worked for an attorney at one time, and he's a local Social Security attorney here, and I love him dearly, and I love attorneys, but when I have gone through the Social Security system for the last 4 years, and I understand the system, and I understand why you should have an attorney and why you shouldn't have an attorney. There are some I will send to an attorney, but the ones that I know really truly need it, and they need it now, it's a matter of life or death, I'm going to help them get it.
Got it.
Otherwise, it's a 2-year process.
Yeah, that's my understanding.
Yeah, it's a 2-year process.
Yeah.
So
wow,
it's just a matter of sometimes holding their hand, walking them through.
Sure.
Just like some of the people that come in here, they just need that extra push. We've got a couple of young kids in here now, and one of them, it's a mom and son, and I've just kind of like split them up. I said, okay, this is what we're going to do for you, and this is what we're going to do for you, but right now the 2 together is not working. So, we're working on plans separately, and mom's having a little bit of issue with that, but I'm like, he's 24. He's a big boy now.
Yeah, it's time.
He's ready to be that big boy. So it's each person's different. So each thing that we do with them to help them get back on their feet is a different.
Well, kind of what comes to mind is that, and I'm present too when I get an opportunity to tour your facility here, is I felt sorrow, obviously, and then gratitude that I don't walk that walk, but that how the hopeless they must feel, and like the sense of despair, and like there are days I wake up and I feel overwhelmed, but I wake up and there's heat. I wake up and there's a meal in the refrigerator. And I have a car in the garage. It's like even that life feels overwhelming. I can't imagine if you're not managing your day to day, your basic things that you need to live
and that's the one thing nice about it, because like right now we're sitting at the community meal, and back behind us is where they serve the meal. So they start coming in at 5:30, and at 6 o'clock we're all sitting down at the table. It's not just them serving us, they're coming and joining us also. You know, there's not somebody standing over you. We're joining in. How's your day today? What happened today? What can we do differently? What do you need help with? You know, we're all having that family time together.
So does that help like lift some of that burden?
It
some
does.
Of hopelessness?
It really does, because they don't feel like they're an outsider coming in.
Right.
You know, like I said, when they call me mom, it's like they feel like they're a family. And I will tell you, they will back each other up when they're out on the street. Like one time I'm asking, I'm like, so have you seen so-and-so? Well, who's that? And I'm like, okay, I know you guys have this, you know, way of you're all sticking together and stuff, but I want to help that person just like I'm helping you. So it's, you know, like I said, they stand up for each other, which I think is great. So it's kind of like a great big family.
Right.
And the one young lady says, she goes, you know what? She goes, I have never felt such love and support. Like one of my young men that I got into rehab, probably within the first 3 weeks we opened the shelter, Peggy and I, one of the other volunteers, we drove him to Lafayette on a Friday night in the middle of a snowstorm. And I mean, it was awful. I've driven to White House before, but it was awful. And he calls me every day since then.
Oh, wow.
Every single day he calls me, I'm having a good day or I'm having a bad day. And his mom is talking to him now after not talking to him for a while. And she came into my office to see me, and she's like, I can't thank you enough for helping him. She goes, we've been trying to do this for 6 years. She goes, we couldn't get him to that next step. And he even said the same thing. He goes, I've tried to get off the addiction. You know, I've tried to get to the next step, but I didn't feel the support. And we all of us encourage him all the time. I mean, we're always sending him cards or making a phone call, you know, it's just encouraging. At his birthday, we make sure we send a bunch of stuff for him for his birthday, and it's just, that's what they need. They need that encouragement, because like you said, you know, to come in off the street, first of all, it's embarrassing. To come into my office, you know, each person that comes in my office, it's embarrassing. And we try to explain to them, we're here to help you. We're not judging you. You may feel like we're judging you, but we're not judging you. We're here to help you, but we can't help you unless you let us help you. So you got to be open, you got to be honest, you got to tell us what's really going on. Then we can help you. Because if we have to dig that out of you and find out what the real truth is, we've wasted all that time.
Right.
So work with us, and we're going to work with you.
I think, well, I'm sure that they're probably embarrassed. I'm trying to think if that's like more what that conversation comes from, but I don't know that you're obviously not holding it the same way where somebody has to come in with their heart in their hand. It's just, you're just a resource.
Well, like I said, I feel like we're here to support them. We're not giving them a handout, we're giving them a hand up or holding their hand to get to the next step. Right. And I think they feel that. Yeah. Because they come back and, you know, in the morning they get up, they get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, they have breakfast, and they're out the door at 7. So again, it's community meal in the morning, and we'll pack them a bag for the day. Like, you know, we have some leftover sloppy joes. Do you want to take a sandwich with you? We have some apples. We have some oranges. Do you want a peanut butter jelly sandwich? You know, we make sure they have something for during the day too. We have a couple guys that are going for work, so we always make sure we pack them up something so they have something for lunch, because it's too expensive to eat out for lunch. Right. It goes back to that budgeting thing. Sure. So, you know, it's just trying to figure out what's going on, what has happened in their life, you know, and that's when it gets sad, because you hear their stories, and it's like sometimes you can relate to it, and other times it's just like, wow, you know, you think that you've heard it all, and then you hear something that's like, I can't imagine it. Right. I can't imagine it.
I think so. You know, if we look at just kind of do a call out to the community here. Obviously, financial contributions are always welcome. Can be used. Also looking for a building. So
yes, and it's we had we met with the Catholic churches last week. Pastor Joe and I went, And it was funny because I've had 2 gentlemen email me now. It's like, okay, I found this place. Would this work for you? So, I pull it up on Beacon, I look at it, I said, well, it's really not in the area we need, because we'd like to have it this is centrally located. It's close to the courthouse, it's close to the bus system, it's close to transport, it's close to a lot of jobs. So, we'd like to be, someplace around here. Now, there's another building we're looking at kind of on the other end of town, but not totally the other end of town, but it's close to some of the factories where a lot of the people get jobs.
Okay.
And it's kind of in an area where it might not be not in my backyard type thing,
Right.
because we weren't so sure when we started the shelter here what it was going to be like. We've had very positive feedback. We've had a couple times where they've said, can you make sure they're not lingering around in the morning, or not lingering around at night and stuff like that. So it's like,
They've nowhere
okay.
to go. What are they going to do? Hang out, wait for the doors to open.
And then we have the
or-
library. We have the library right next door, and we've had no issues with the library. They're
Nice.
they come in and they
Right.
sit and read a book or something. So
And if they're respectful of the facility, I don't think a library
and
is
that's
an
what I
issue.
tell them. Just like in the morning when they leave, I said, okay, you guys, don't forget, don't stand out here and have your cigarette. Walk to where you need to be going to the next place. Do not talk to anybody. Do not ask for a cigarette. Do not ask for any money. Do not,
Yeah.
make sure you don't drop your cup or your bottle of water on the ground. Make sure, there's trash cans and stuff like that. So
Right.
you just, kind of remind them of that so that you don't have that community issue.
Yeah, because you certainly don't need that working
No.
against you.
No.
So right now you're housing, you can house 5 men and 5 women.
Well, it's a total of 10. So
Yeah.
it's basically, first come, first serve. Mostly we've had men. This is the first time we've had that many women. I think the most women we've had is like 2 at a time.
Okay.
So right now to have 5 was like, okay.
Wow.
So, yeah.
My feeling is that you're going to outgrow this in short order. Is kind of
Well, and that's exactly right, because we
Yeah.
would like to make sure there's more out there.
sure.
And right now it's been great, getting the ones that are here to the next step. But at some point, it's going to be where we're going to have more than 10,
Sure.
and we're going to need that area. And one of the main things is we need the showers. We need the showers. We had one young lady today that went someplace to get a shower, and she came back. She's like, "Oh my gosh, I feel so much better." And I'm like, "Wow, that's me. If I can't, if I have to rush out the door in the morning without a shower, I'm like, but I want to get home and get my shower. It just, really bothers me."
Sure.
So I just, I feel like we're doing the right thing. I feel like it was needed. It's not like it's not something I was doing in my office, because we deal with homelessness every day in our office. We have
Yeah.
people come in once or twice a week for homelessness, but it's a way of putting them all under one roof and working together, plus making sure they have a warm place to stay, a warm meal, and a warm breakfast, because that's not something I can offer in my office.
No.
So,
Or a
and
place to sleep.
well, yeah, and
Yeah.
then when you tell them, okay, you're homeless, I'm sorry, let me help you get a job, and then after you got your deposit saved, then I'll help you find an apartment. Well, what do I do in the meantime?
Right.
So
Right.
I have written a couple of grants, so I do have some. We got vouchers for like transport and stuff like that, or moving vouchers to help move them from one place to another. We also have vouchers for hotels and stuff like that, emergency vouchers to take them to rehab and stuff like that. So writing a couple of grants each year to help in different areas.
What don't you do?
I don't sleep a lot.
I was just saying, you're amazing.
I have the best support family at home.
Yeah,
Like I
well, you
said,
have
my
to.
husband and my kids are just awesome, and I couldn't do that without them. And
Yeah.
it's teamwork. It's not me. It's
Right.
teamwork. It's just putting the right people in my life to do the right thing, and and it's God. I've been dealing with homelessness since I was 13. And I'll never forget, it was a neighbor lady, her name was Marge Harding, and she introduced me to God, and she introduced me to another side of the world that I didn't know about.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I came up with a silver spoon, because I didn't. I remember
Right.
eating a lot of peanut butter and jelly and hamburger helper, which I can't stand ever eat again as
Right.
hamburger helper. I can't stand to eat Spam ever again. But she taught me how to look at things differently, and took me to areas that I didn't know existed, and I've always been fascinated with it. So I go to Austin, Texas once a year to the tiny village there, and I want to build a homeless community here. I want the tiny village here. It's not been welcome so far, but I don't give up very easily.
No, you do not.
So, but then I've been to Baltimore, I've been to Milwaukee, and Milwaukee is another place that really opened my eyes. My husband and I went up there for a long weekend, and it was to the veterans community, the tiny village for the veterans. And I never understood when people said that we needed to build a veterans shelter area different than a regular shelter area. And I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you want to get them back into society? Why is it you want to separate them? That just seems kind of harsh. Well, I went and I interviewed some of them there, and I understood, because some of them have been through something so
Seriously
tragic.
Yeah,
And just like I talked about the mental health and the addiction, I understand some of that, but I didn't understand the PTSD.
yeah.
I didn't understand how they are different than you and I, and being together with everybody that understands them,
Yes.
they're able to do what they need to do, which takes me back to the tiny village in Austin, because there again, when he brought them into the village, it was the people that had an addiction or had an alcohol or had mental illness. You know, that was his main thing, was to bring them in and teach them how to do a skill so they could have a roof over their head. So here I am in Milwaukee, and I'm like, it's the same thing. But then I was talking to the director, and I said, so how do you get them back into society to get them from the tiny village? Because that's kind of like transitional housing, to go from the tiny village into, you know, an apartment or to a house. And he goes, we do weekends. I said, okay. He goes, we go bowling, we go to church, we go shopping. He goes, it's baby steps. So spending the weekend with them and seeing how they went into the different,
Wow.
which brought me back to Austin. To the very first time I went to Austin, I was watching them bless a house. So this lady was moving into her house, and I stood there, and everybody's like, just watch, just watch. I'm like, okay. I'm thinking, okay, she's going to get her key, go in her house. No, she walked up and down those stairs a minimum of 5 times, a minimum. She would walk up there, and she'd come back, and she goes, is this really mine? And she'd go up there, and she'd come back, and she goes, are you going to take this away from me?
Oh.
You know, and I mean, we all just
Yeah.
had tears, you know, just all
you
had
feel
tears.
that.
And she would go up, and she'd unlock the door, and she'd go in, and she just dropped to her knees and thank God,
Yeah.
and just bawl. And then of course, we're all bawling our eyes out.
Of course.
And then I would go around to the other places, and I'd still see people sleeping outside on their porches. And I'm like, why are they sleeping on their porch? They're not ready yet. So my second year, I went to Austin.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
So my second year, when I went to Austin, I went and lived as a homeless person. So I stayed in the teepee, I stayed in one of the huts, I stayed in one of the houses, I stayed in one of the RVs, and then I went to Tent City and stayed one night there.
Oh my goodness.
And I will tell you, that was the most eye-opening, most rewarding thing ever to me, was to live with them, understand, and okay, so this, I have to always tell this story. So the big barrels you always see on TV, you know, when you watch shows and people are standing around like warming their hands and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought that always was for. It's not. They make these metal rods, and they make some type of holder, and they put their cans on there. That's how they heat all their food. That's how they heat their coffee.
Wow.
Everything is cooked over those barrels.
Wow.
So it was just mind blowing to see, and you know, to talk to them. And I'm like, what brought you here? Why are you here? Lost my job. Well, what do you mean you lost your job? I got sick. I lost my job. Talked to another person. Why are you here? I got cancer. I lost my job. I lost my house. Talked to another person. The company closed. Another one. I lost my husband. You know? And that's why for everybody that looks down on the homeless people, it's like you're one step away from homelessness.
Yes.
Being sick, a company closing, getting cancer, anything possible. I can remember 2008 when my husband lost his job, we lost our business, and 2 years later I got cancer. And I'm like, we could have been that person.
Yeah.
Had we not been prepared, we could have been that person.
Right.
That's when the stock market crashed. How many people are still homeless from that?
Yeah.
How many people are still homeless from Ford Motor Company closing? you know? It's not anything that somebody's done all the time. It's just an act of God.
Yeah.
Something has happened.
Just a circumstance.
Addiction, okay? Why is it you're an addict? Well, let's see. I fell down the stairs and I hurt my back and I broke my back. And so I started taking pain pills.
Yes.
Could no longer get the prescription for the pain pills, so I turned to drugs for something else.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
And I can remember when my grandma passed away in June. That was very hard for me. But I can remember as she was getting, in the last couple of months or so, she would fall, and then the first thing I say was, well, we'll give her some pain meds. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. She has a pain medicine doctor who handles her pain medication, so shouldn't you be checking with them? Oh, we don't have that. And I'm like, shouldn't that all be
Connected.
somehow connected,
Yeah,
so you could
yeah.
look it up? So I can see now why there's so many addicts when they go from hospital to doctor, and nobody has any idea that Sam just got 30 pills here, and then he went over here and got 30 pills, then he got... We're not helping our people.
No.
We're causing some of the root issues here.
Right. Well,
So,
thankfully there's like awareness efforts out there, because I've been
Yes.
connected to some people doing
Mhm.
some things, and I don't think that, you know, it wasn't like negligence necessarily on the doctor's part. Sometimes they just didn't
don't know.
understand the
Mhm.
addictiveness of those sort of things. But
right.
I always think, like, when I think about homeless facilities, I think that it probably attracts a lot of addiction and a lot of mental health
Mhm.
issues, just because those systems aren't necessarily available to everybody, or and because sometimes those conditions are chronic.
Mhm.
So somebody could go through, you know, some sort of a treatment program or an in-house program, come back out, but then life hits them in a way that they're not able to manage, and they go right back to what
Right.
coping skills and how they've survived in the past is what shows back up for them. But
Right.
I think my big concern here is you outgrowing this. I got to tell you. Yeah, the bone in my
Yes.
body's like,
Yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely outgrowing it. And like I said, you know, the next building, and we want to reopen again in November or December.
okay.
So we are looking at a couple buildings right now here in Laporte, and hopefully one of them will work out, and we'll start writing grants. But I will tell you, we have many people say that I can't volunteer, but I have a checkbook.
And that's what I was
So
gonna ask.
that's what's great.
How
That's
do
just
how do
what was
people
great.
get a donation to your
They can make the check out to Center Township Trustee, and in the memo pad, they can write LP pads.
okay?
My address is 1700 Lincoln Way Place, Suite 6, LaPorte, Indiana, 46350. My cell phone number is 219-851-8739. It is available 24 hours a day. You can reach me also at centertownship@gmail.com, and I answer my emails probably 20 million times a day.
Oh, I'm sure of it.
So,
Yeah, I'm sure of it. Lots of ways to connect to you.
yes.
Yeah, and you know, I think that a lot of people think that they have to infuse big chunks of capital. So I always like to let my listeners know, even if you've got $20.
Every little bit helps.
It
And
adds
that's,
up.
it's funny because some of my clients in my office that, you know, I've helped out in the past said, you know, I don't have a lot to give, but I want to get a bus pass. So I'm going to send you some money for bus pass. And they don't understand that $30 for that bus pass really means a lot to somebody, because it might mean a bus pass for somebody to get to the doctors, or some of our guys getting them to work. As you heard on the phone, I had somebody calling me about a bus pass, starting a job and wants to, you know, get a bus pass. So any dollar amount will help. You know, it's possibly could be matching grants. So collecting so much money, you know, up to $500 could be a matching grant to where it makes it into $1,000 or $2,000 or something like that. So
Yeah, you just don't know.
every donation's a good donation.
Right, and that would
So-
seem small to us, but it's huge. Like you said, it's life-changing. A bus pass could be like, and look at the Crock-Pot thing. If somebody
Yeah.
gave you $20, girl, you fed a family for a month.
And that's and when I go to different fundraisers and stuff like that, or there's a church here in Laporte that does at Christmas time. I'm gonna forget the name of it is, but it's basically we set up different organizations set up a table with different things they do in their office, and the congregation come and they purchase something. So for that hard to buy person, this is what you send them. Okay, so Merry Christmas, I bought $20 worth of meals for Lisa's Crock-Pot class, or I bought a Walmart card for somebody to get new work boots or something like that. And the first time I did it, my mother-in-law's from Poland, and she's the hardest person to buy for because she has everything, but she's really about giving back to the community. So the first time I did it, from the church, I bought water, and it was $50, and it was enough water for 50 days in Poland. It's for a family in Poland.
Boy.
So every year I try to do something like that. But
that's awesome.
it's really exciting when they come in and they're like, okay, this year I want to do a cancer card, or this year I want to do, it's the same people. And I've been doing, I think it's my 3rd year of doing it, but that's kind of neat too for the churches to do something like that. It's a way of giving back to the community, but then their congregation learning about what my office and some of these other organizations do.
Yeah.
So
Now you're on Facebook?
I am on Facebook on Lisa Pierzakowski, Center Township Trustee, and then I also have my personal page, Lisa Snyder Pierzakowski.
Is LP Pads up at all?
LP Pads is a Facebook page also.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, it's capital L, capital P, Pads, and that's on Facebook also.
Can we see what you're up to if we go to the LP Pads and
Yes.
follow you?
Yeah,
Great.
we try to put information on there between my page and LP Pads. We put as much information as we can. Pastor Joe just said, you need to add something this week. You haven't done it yet. And I said, I've been a little bit busy, but I'll,
From social media posting.
Well, I was, and the joke is, you were sick all weekend. So they kicked me out of the shelter for the weekend because I had kind of a head sinus thing going on. And that's when Pastor Joe was kind of laughing about, we got to get another ad on the Facebook page. And one of the guys here says, well, it's not like you did anything all weekend. I'm like, thanks. Wait a minute. So, but yeah.
So, just out of curiosity, like you've talked about some things that are enlightening, and that we've got some misconceptions.
Mm-hmm.
Those of us that haven't
Right.
walked this kind of a walk.
Mm-hmm.
What's the biggest one you think that you find that where people aren't understanding?
The homelessness situation, that it's one step away for people. Not everybody that walks in the door is an addict. Not everybody that walks in the door is mental illness. It's just they lost their job.
Right.
It might be that they lost their apartment. It might be a budgeting issue. Grandparents, grandparents raising grandkids now because the kids can't take care of it. Addiction, that's another thing. I get really upset when I hear people say, well, why are you spending so much time helping that addict? And I'm like, okay, you see that addict right there? Do you know what your neighbors do at home? Do you know what the people down the street do at home? Because I know when I see 6 sheriff's cars at a house close to me, I know what's going on. So don't think that it's not happening in your neighborhood.
Right.
It could be your child that you have no idea has an addiction problem. It could be your brother or your mother or somebody else. So don't think that you're standing on a pedestal higher than somebody else, because addiction is out there with everybody.
Yeah. Well, and then being like I don't know what the statistic is, but it reminded me of like so many people are one paycheck away from homelessness, as I've heard that, and I don't know what the number is, but I don't. Why do we judge? Why do people judge that? I don't get that.
It's kind of like the thing not in my backyard, and that's the one thing about Austin I really love, because this gentleman I think it's 58 acres now, and he tried to build it in the city where it'd be closer, and they're like, no, not my backyard. So he built it outside the city, and now it's become so popular. Now the mayor's like, you've done so good, can we build one on the other side of the city? And the neighbors are all taking responsibility of, oh yeah, we let him move in, and and I'm just like, you were the ones not in my backyard.
Yeah, right, fighting, picking and fighting.
Yeah. So I just wish people would look at it as it could possibly be them, or it could possibly be one of their family members. I don't think you should judge them.
I don't either.
I think everybody's equal. And I tell every client of mine that walks in the door, and I tell my kids, there was only one perfect person in this world, and that's God, and he wasn't always perfect either. So for us to act like we're perfect and we're above everybody else is just not true. So.
And it kind of makes me think like, one of the understandings that I have in the world according to Terry is you're either in love or you're in fear. So judgment has to be coming from a place of fear.
Exactly.
So what's that fear? That you might end up needing the services that you provide?
And it's funny you say that, because that's a lot of the people that come in when they need help from the trustee. They come in, it's like, I don't want to be homeless. I know I'm going that direction.
Right.
Can you help me? Or when they come in, their bank accounts are totally upside down. And it's like, I know I'm going to lose my apartment. I'm going to be homeless. I'm like, no, you're not, because we're going to make this work. And I have 12 clients right now that come in every week or every bi-weekly or every monthly, however they get paid. and I help them pay their bills. I help them budget.
Right.
And I will do that for a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever it's going to take in order for them to stay where they are.
Wow.
So,
Interesting. Very interesting. I wish that there was more community awareness and compassion for it, because maybe that would start to shift the tide a little bit.
mhm.
Not that we won't always have conversations of hardship, but to lessen that load.
Well, and I will say one thing, I've taught a lot of people, to look at homelessness a little bit differently, but then you don't want to give that handout. I will tell anybody and everybody, if you see somebody come up to you and ask for money for something, go buy it for them. Don't
Yes.
give them that money, because
Yes.
that money is going to be used for either drugs or alcohol. So you're only enabling them, you're not helping them. They need gas for their car, take them to get gas for their car.
Right.
Don't give them the money, take them and do that, because then you're helping them. You're not enabling them, you're helping them.
Right.
And when you're doing that, talk to them, find out what's really going on. It might be that one word you say, it might be that one sentence. With us doing classes here now, we do classes Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So we're doing AA, NA, rethinking and stuff like that. And they all have to sit there. They don't have to participate, but they all have to sit in the meeting. And it's funny because those that are like, oh, I don't need this meeting, I don't want to be here, they'll like,
Yeah.
and it's funny because they'll be the ones I'm looking at, and they'll be listening, and they'll turn and they'll look at me, and they'll get that little smile, and I'll go, or they'll repeat something that they said. The other night we had a gentleman in here who comes in every so often. He's got a drinking problem, and everybody in Laporte knows him, but every so often he'll come in to get warm, to get a hot meal, and I told him, I said, that's fine, you can come in tonight, but you got to sit for class. Oh, I don't. I said, that's the requirement.
That's the deal.
And it's funny because he sat there and he would look, and he'd look over at me, and he'd look back, and then he started repeating something, and I'm like, oh my gosh, he's getting it, because
Yeah.
whatever you say is going right up here.
Sure.
So it's there somewhere.
Yeah.
So it's just, it's the homeless shelter's not for everybody,
No.
but it is for some, and hopefully we are making a difference.
I don't doubt that you are. I think you talk about the guy that didn't want to go to the class, and you could see him start to respond.
Mhm.
I think sometimes if I look at it like if our brains are like an email inbox,
Mm-hmm.
and if you keep, I'm sending you emails and
Right.
emails and emails and
Right.
emails, and then one day you decide to open the box, and all those emails just come
Exactly.
flooding in. They're opening.
And that's why
And
I said, because somebody's like, oh, you're never going to get anywhere with them. They're never going to amount to anything. And I'm like, that's your opinion.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm not going to give up.
Right.
Like I said, we had an episode here today. And I could have very well just sent her out the door and washed my hands on her. But I didn't, because I know deep down, I just got to find that spark in there to get them to the next place.
Right.
That's all it is.
I think, what amazes me is that you actually have the ability to help somebody move forward to the next place, whether it's going back to where they came from
Mhm.
or moving forward to the next place. And that, I don't know if you understand, that's a very unique place and a different way that you hold it. I mean, obviously I talk to a lot of people doing a lot of cool things,
Mhm.
and a lot of that is just like managing the current conversation. But it almost feels like, and the fact that you do that is just amazing to me.
It's just listening to their story. It's finding out what's going on, what's going to help them, and then as far as using my funding to do what needs to be
make it
done,
happen.
using the funding that's coming into this building to help
Right.
what's going on. Whether it be donations that have come in to buy somebody's prescription for the week, or pay for somebody's phone for the week so they can get that call for a job.
Right.
It's just a matter of finding out what is needed to help them get to the next place.
It's bigger than that.
No.
It's bigger than that, Lisa. I'm telling you, I don't know exactly what it is. And when it hits me, like 30
Okay.
minutes after we leave, I'm going to text
Okay.
you, girl, I got it.
Okay.
I'm going to know what it
Okay.
is. There's something very, very, very unique about the way that you hold this and you express this, and the way that it's, okay, so you're very matter of fact, you're very like practical,
Yeah.
and you're just like, roll up your shirt sleeves, let's get it done.
You'd have to be.
You do,
Have
but not
to be.
everyone is, and some people are. But it almost feels like, to me, well, it's just a natural progression of things. Here you are, there's been a circumstance or a stumble or anything, in your life that would show up for somebody, and then you're like, okay, what do we got to do about that? And then, okay, so what do we do? Bam, 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 bam,
Mhm.
and then, like, of course they're going to get back on their feet. That's what's different.
Mhm.
That's what's different.
Well, and it's probably my grandma raising me to bring me up to where I am today, because I didn't have the happy life growing up.
Right.
Marge Harding taking me under her wings,
Right, and
you
introducing
know, and
Yeah.
introducing me to what needed to be done. My grandma saying, nope, you're not going to go backwards, you're going to go forward.
Yeah.
You know, what has happened is in the past, we're going to move forward. You know, losing my husband's job, losing our business, going through cancer. Our son was involved in a horrible accident and has traumatic brain injury from that. You know, it's just, I think it's life skills maybe. You
Yeah,
know,
I could put it in
it's
that,
just a matter of, I know it's hard, but you can get from point A to point B. But you have to trust in that person.
There it is. You said it.
And that's what it is. You have to get them to trust in you.
Here's where it is.
Okay.
It was in when you just said, you know that you can get from point A to point B.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's unique about you.
It can happen.
But if you, like I was gonna say, if you walked in my shoes for like, come play with me for a couple weeks and kind of get the conversation, it's like most people are managing the circumstances that life delivers.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Right.
and I'm talking about people that are in the position and the privilege to serve the way you serve.
Right.
Is it's just a matter of managing current condition. And yeah, I've met a lot of people that have the access and are connecting, but it's the knowing.
Mm-hmm.
It's the knowing that this can change. Of course, this can change.
And
Like that's just like of course I'm going to breathe in and breathe out.
And that's funny you say that, because that's one thing that going to different conferences for the Trustee Association, I was nominated, and I was Trustee of the Year in 2018, and it was the first trustee to ever get nominated in her first term. It's my first 4-year term, and that's one thing Debbie said. She says, you know what? She says, you never let them fall, you never let them stumble. She goes, you always make sure that they get to point B.
It's the
Because
knowing, the assurance, the confidence.
And that's the thing. You have to let them know you can stumble. And I will tell you, with the addiction thing, I really didn't understand it because I've never been an addict.
Yeah.
I've never had a drinking problem. I've never smoked a cigarette in my life, so I've never had any of those cravings. So it's not something I know. And I will tell you, every client that's come in, it's like, don't send me someplace where it's going to be a doctor telling me. Send me someplace where it's going to be somebody that's walked my shoes, that knows.
Sure.
And Herb Stepperson is an author of a book called Junkyard Diaries, and I've gotten to know Herb over the last 1.5 years. And I will tell you, reading his book changed my whole thinking on addiction, because he talks about where he started and how he stumbled, and where he got and how he stumbled, and where he got and how he stumbled. And I had no idea, because I'm thinking, just get off the dang drugs and get your life together.
Right.
You know, just stop doing it. You can't do that.
No.
You can't do that. But I didn't know that until I read his book and understood.
Right.
You know, so there for a while, I mean, I was pretty tough, which I'm still pretty tough, but I was like, you got to do this, this, and this. And then I'd lose them. And I'm like, okay, what am I doing wrong? You know, and then I have to go find them. It's like, okay, we got to do something different. And I do lose them sometimes.
Sure.
But when they come back and they said, you know what? You didn't lose me. I lost myself. I wasn't ready.
Yeah,
but now
right.
I'm ready.
Right.
So there again, you know, we can get them like a horse. You can lead them to the water, but you can't force them to drink. And with an addict, it sometimes takes 2 or 3 times before you can get them to go to the next step.
Well, and it's like somebody has to be ready for it.
Right.
You know,
They have to want it.
Right. Well, and I think that they want it. I believe that they do.
Mhm.
But there's more to being ready than that, I think. So, and when
that's
the
what
time is
Herb's-
right. And,
Yeah, that's what Herb says. He goes, you know, they have to want it. They have to know what has to be done, because they may say they want it, but they really don't want it until they really do what they need to do.
Right. And
So,
they show.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I'm just going to go back to this. This knowing that you can get from point A to point B is, I can only imagine what it's like to be struggling and to have the opportunity to meet somebody like you that has that knowing, is like how that would shift the choices I would make. well, here's this woman who doesn't even know me, but she has all the confidence of the world that if we just do certain things in a certain order, repeatedly or one time or whatever,
Right.
that I'm going to get, the situation can shift. Like, I have to tell you, that is what's truly profoundly amazing.
I love when I have some of my clients come in because I'll struggle with them and I'm just like, okay, what can I do differently? What's going on? You know, and you got the point A, the point B, but then I'm like, okay, what is the most important thing in your life? And I'm like, is it your child? Is it your grandchild? Is it your phone? Is it, you know, whatever? What is the most important thing in your life? Because that is now your star, and your star is completely out of reach. So we need to pull that star down, and we need to fix that so we can get to that star. And that's what I tell them. I said, concentrate on that star. You know that star is out of reach. How do we get that star down here to catch it, to get your life back? So that's another thing we teach them, is the star.
Is that yours? Did you create that?
That's, I just...
Do you know how, that's like, oh my goodness, as opposed to you need to do this, that, and the other to lift yourself, elevate yourself. Maybe they're not ready.
And you
or
know,
can't.
it was funny because that's kind of like when running for office, because I'm like, I really want this, because I ran before, and I won in the primary, but then I lost in the general. Okay. And I was kind of bummed about it, but then it was the next year when I got cancer. So I'm like, God had a reason. You weren't ready there, God had a reason.
Something to do.
So it was like 8 years then, and the former trustee came, and he goes, you know what, you've got all the right ideas, you need to run for office. And I'm like, okay, I know I want this job. What is it that I've got to do to get this job? So it was like my star. So what was my main thing? And it was to help people get back on their feet. That's my main thing. I don't want to see Laporte fall the way it's falling. I don't want to see Laporte going in the wrong direction. I want to help people get to the next level. I want to help pick those people up. So that was my star, was focusing on the people to get them back on their feet.
Love it.
Coming up with the different programs to help them.
Love it.
So,
well, I want to thank everybody who's been tuning in. You've been listening to WVLP at 103.1 FM, also live streaming at WVLP.org. Thank you, Ryan Eberhardt with Diamond Residential Mortgage, for providing a platform and funding so that we are able to share conversations. I've just had an absolutely remarkable interview, well worth the drive to Laporte, with Lisa Pierzakowski, and she is the Laporte County Center Township Trustee. And excited for you. You need to write a book.
That's what my son told me. He goes, Mom, everything you've done in your life, he goes, you just need to write it all down.
Yeah,
but
that whole conversation.
I don't know if I'd have time.
Speak it into, they transcribe it. Just talk it into a recorder. You'll get it done.
I don't know if I have time to do something like that. I got too many other things I got to do yet.
Oh. Well, we'll hope that time comes around.
Still got my fight going on for the homelessness.
Yeah,
so
you do.
It'll happen. But
Lisa,
thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
You're welcome.